Hi and welcome back. This lecture is the continuation of the previous lecture of the SQL Practical tutorial. Earlier we talked about the DDL commands, that is create table, alter table and drop table, and the DML commands insert, update and delete. So let's continue on this journey. Let me open a new worksheet for this user. In this worksheet, I will select everything from employees table and there are no records in it for now. Now what I'm going to do is comment it out. So to comment out anything in SQL, you can use the double dash. And if it is a multi-line comment, you can use a backslash, asterisk, and asterisk, backslash again. So now what I'll do is I'll copy the insert commands and paste them into the new worksheet. Now why I'm doing this is that suppose you have thousands of insert commands to be run, you can't be manually running them from here. So instead what you can do is that you can run it as a script. So when I hit this button, it runs all the commands as a script and all my rows are inserted. Now I can uncomment it and then query it again. But what's the catch here? I have not committed the changes. So to commit the changes, I need to hit either this button or even I can write commit as it is and just run this command. So when I write commit and run it, the commit is completed and now all these records are saved in the database. So earlier I talked about the delete command. When I issue a delete, all the records will be removed if I don't specify a where clause. Now I'm going to talk about truncate command. When I issue a truncate, the syntax is truncate table, table name. Here my table is employees. So when I issue a truncate command, it shows me that the table has been truncated and now I see that all the records are gone. Truncate works similar to the delete command. It removes all the records from the table at once. But what is the difference? Truncate is a DDL command, whereas the delete is a DML command. What truncate does is that it drops the table and then recreates it. Whereas delete does not drop the table, it simply deletes the rows. And the delete command, the changes can be rolled back, but in the truncate, you cannot roll back the changes. So be very careful with truncate. When we use truncate is when there are millions of records and you want to remove all of them, and delete performs very slowly because it does the operation row by row, whereas the truncate is kind of instantaneous. So truncate in nutshell and summary just removes or drops the table and then recreates the structure and all the records are gone. You do not need to commit when you issue a truncate command because you do not issue a commit on the DDL commands. So this sums up the truncate command. Now let's move to the data control language, that is grant and revoke. So this is my user demo, and also like I mentioned, this is also the schema. Now demo has this table employees, and I have given the privileges to create the table or make any modifications to the table. I have created a new sample schema or a user where it falls under this sysxeptb1. So don't worry about these details here, just consider it as a root user. This root is the parent of all these users, demo, SMS and sample. From this root user, I can set the privileges of role or users. So this is the newly created user, and when I issue a create table command here, it says the table has been created. It is because that I have given the grant to the sample for the create table statement. Now let me just drop it. And then revoke the privilege of creating the table. So when I issue a revoke privilege from the root user and then again I try to create this table, it will say me there are insufficient privileges. So through this root user, I can set the privileges for sample, I can set the privileges for demo, I can set the privileges for SMS or any other user from here. I can even create more users, and I can grant whatever the privileges or the roles I want to assign through this root user. So this is the DCL, or the data control language, in summary for you. Now let's move on and talk about the select clauses and the advanced precursors of the select statement like where, group by, and having clause. Now let's come back to here. When I said select star from employees, so let me just comment it out first till this space, so that even if I run a script, these things are not run. So earlier I showed a simple select statement where I showed select star from employees. Now I want to do more manipulation in the data using the SQL. So here you see we have salary column, and we can apply a filter on this column using a where clause. So for example, I want to see the salary and the employee names who have salary greater than 900. So I can simply issue a where clause and put a mathematical operator greater than and specify the amount for which I want to filter the results and give the column name. So this will return me the rows whose salary is greater than 900, and only those records would be fetched who fulfill this criteria. This can be any operator, even equality, which equality it returns me two rows, and even less than, so it will give me the people who have salary less than 900. Now for example, there can be use cases where there are people in the same salary bracket and your organization is very huge. For example, if you have lakhs of employees, you can't go through each and every name, and the HR department asks you to give a count of the people who have salary greater than a particular amount. In that case, we will use the group by clause or the aggregation function. So like I mentioned, we are using a star clause here, but we can also specify the name of the columns that we want to query. For example, if I want to query the first name and the last name, so what I'll do is I'll just copy these things and paste it in place of star. So when I do a query like this, only the columns that I have selected will be displayed. So now, like I mentioned before, I want the count of the employees whose salary is greater than 800. So in the SQL, we have inbuilt aggregation functions, and we can issue those functions inside the SQL query. So here what we can do is we can put count 1, and we can mention the aggregated column, which is the salary, right, from employees, where salary, or we remove the where clause now because now we are aggregating, so we are putting group by salary, and the where clause now then comes in the having clause because the having is a kind of where for the group by. So once you have grouped the people by the salary, then you can put a having clause on them. So having salary greater than 800. Now it only shows me that the people who have salary greater than 100, what is the count for that salary bracket. So for salary 900, I see there are 2 employees, and for salary 1000, I just have 1 employee. Now we can add an order by clause also, and we can order by the first column. We can say order by 1, and we can say it to descending. So we see that it has been reordered. So now you see we have select, we have from, we have group by, we have having, and order by. You would work with more SQL in the practical applications when you are a SQL developer. I hope with this lecture you are clear with the concepts or the practical application of the structured query language and how it interacts with the data.